So imagination practice can lower your golf score. Golf has become an enormously popular recreation, and there's a long relationship between golf and psychocybernetics. I've already mentioned the great Jack Nicklaus's mental rehearsal as just one example. Time magazine reported that when Ben Hogan was playing in a tournament, he mentally rehearsed each shot just before making it. He made the shot perfectly in his imagination, felt the club head strike the ball just as it should, felt himself performing the perfect follow through, and then stepped up to the ball and depended on what he called muscle memory to carry out the shot just as he imagined it. Ben Hogan was ahead of the curve of modern golf psychology, which has become an industry unto itself and is largely based on visualization and relaxation techniques. Clearly see the target and let your automatic success mechanism take care of the details. Johnny Bulla, a well-known professional golfer, wrote an article in which he said that having a clear mental image of just where you wanted the ball to go and what you wanted it to do was more important than the form in golf. Most of the pros, said Bulla, have one or more serious flaws in their form, yet they managed to shoot good golf. It was Bulla's theory that if you picture the end result, see the ball going where you want it to go, and have the confidence to know that it was going to do what you wanted, your subconscious would take over and direct your muscles correctly. If your grip was wrong and your stance not in the best form, your subconscious would still take care of that by directing your muscles to do whatever was necessary to compensate for the error in form. This describes the payoff of mastering the psycho-cybernetics techniques, that you reach a point of efficiency where you can simply quickly hand a clear picture of the desired outcome over to your servo mechanism and let it take care of the mechanical details of making that outcome take place. Golf is such an excellent laboratory for these techniques because, unlike many other sports, it is stripped down to pure competition with yourself. Morrison's coaching of Leher exclusively with mental practice of the game came many years before Tim Galway, author of The Inner Game of Tennis, accepted the challenge of an experiment to see how much golf he could learn just by adapting the inner game, that is, mental skills, he had developed in playing and coaching tennis. He set the goal of breaking 80 while playing only once weekly, receiving no technical instruction, and otherwise relying on practice in his imagination in 1 year or less. At the time, he played only several times a year, scoring between 95 and 105. His diary of that experiment is included in his book, The Inner Game of Golf. His book is well worth reading whether you have any interest in golf or not, as it is a thoroughly detailed case history in the triumph of mind over mechanics or technical information, actually the triumph of psycho-cybernetics. Right? So the real secret of mental picturing. Successful men and women have, since the beginning of time, used mental pictures and rehearsal practice to achieve success. Napoleon, for example, practiced soldiering in his imagination for many years before he ever went on an actual battlefield. Webb and Morgan, in their book Making the Most of Your Life, tell us that the notes Napoleon made from his readings during these years of study filled, when printed 400 pages. He imagined himself as a commander and drew maps on the island of Corsica showing where he would place his calculations with mathematical precision. Conrad Hilton imagined himself operating a hotel long before he ever bought one. As a boy, he used to play that he was a hotel operator. His earliest successes were in buying dilapidated dowager properties and restoring their beauty, reworking them as first-class properties. He said that when he spotted such a property to acquire, he ceased seeing its actual condition, instead forming a vividly detailed collection of photographs in his mind of the hotel as it would appear after its makeover. By seeing what would be, he saw value invisible to others. Why mental picturing is so powerful? The science of cybernetics gives us insight into why mental picturing produces such amazing results. I find that the more people understand about why this works so well, the more likely they are to use it. This automatic success mechanism within you, a highly complex automatic goal-seeking machine that steers its way to a target or goal by use of feedback data and stored information, automatically correcting course when necessary, can operate in only one way. It must have a target to shoot at. As the famous golf instructor Alex Morrison said, you must first clearly see a thing in your mind before you can actually do it. When you see a thing clearly in your mind, your creative success mechanism within you takes over and does the job much better than you could do it by conscious effort or willpower. Instead of trying hard by conscious effort to do the thing by iron-jawed willpower, all the while worrying and picturing to yourself all the things that are likely to go wrong. You simply relax. Stop trying to do it by strain and effort. Picture the target you really want to hit and let your creative success mechanism take over. You're not relieved thereafter from effort and work, but your efforts are used to carry you forward towards your goal, rather than in futile mental conflict which results when you want and try to do one thing but picture to yourself something else. Finding your best self. This same creative mechanism within you can help you achieve your best possible self if you will form a picture in your imagination of the self you want to be and see yourself in the new role. This is a necessary condition to personality transformation, regardless of the method of therapy used. Somehow, before you can change, you must see yourself in a new role. I myself have witnessed veritable miracles in personality transformation when an individual changes his or her own self image. However, today we are only beginning to glimpse the potential creative power that stems from the human imagination, particularly uh, images concerning ourselves. Consider the implications, for example, in the following news release, which appeared in 1958 under an Associated Press dateline. Just imagine you're saying, San Francisco, some mental patients can improve their lot and perhaps shorten their stay in hospitals just by imagining they are normal. Two psychologists with the Veterans Administration at Los Angeles reported. Dr. Harry M. Grayson and Dr. Leonard B. Ollinger told the American Psychological Association they tried the idea on 45 men hospitalized as neuropsychiatrists. The patients were given the usual personality test. Then they were asked flatly to take the test a second time and answer the questions as they would if they were a typical well-adjusted person on the outside. Three-fourths of them turned in improved test performances, and some of the changes for the better were dramatic, the psychologists reported. In order for these patients to answer the question as a typical well-adjusted person would answer, they had to imagine how a typical well-adjusted person would act. They had to imagine themselves in the role of a well-adjusted person, and this in itself was enough to cause them to begin acting like and feeling like a well-adjusted person. I'm not certain what became of these good doctors and their innovative experiments. However, we know that today every single aspect of self-image psychology, the very idea of self-image, as Steersman and related techniques like act as if visualizations are widely accepted and used in assisting the mentally ill, the handicapped, addicts, and incarcerated inmates involved with rehabilitation. Of course, you are probably not clinically insane or addicted to chemicals, but more likely a successful individual looking to psycho-cybernetics to help you do even better or to improve some aspect of your life. The fact that these techniques have become part and parcel of most therapies and treatments for people with far more severe emotional and psychological difficulties than you face or can even imagine holds out for you the promise that they can be even more powerful, fast acting, and effective from your more favorable starting point. Discover the truth about yourself. The aim of self-image psychology is not to create a fictitious self that is all-powerful, arrogant, egoistic, all-important. Such an image is as inappropriate and unrealistic as the inferior image of self. Our aim is to find the real self. However, it is common knowledge among psychologists that most of us underrate ourselves, shortchange ourselves, sell ourselves short. Actually, there is no such thing as a superiority complex. People who seem to have one are actually suffering from feelings of inferiority. Their superior self is a fiction, a cover-up to hide from themselves and others their deep down feelings of inferiority and insecurity. How can you discover the truth about yourself? How can you make a true evaluation? It seems to me that here psychology must turn to religion. The scriptures tell us that God created man, a little lower than the angels, and gave him dominion. That God created man in his own image. If we really believe in an all-wise, all-powerful, all-loving creator, then we can draw some logical conclusions about what he has created man. In the first place, such an all-wise and all-powerful creator would not turn out inferior products any more than a master painter would paint inferior canvases. Such a creator would not deliberately engineer the product to fail any more than a manufacturer would deliberately build failure into an automobile. The fundamentalists tell us that man's chief purpose and reason for living is to glorify God, and the humanists tell us that man's primary purpose is to express himself fully. However, if we take the premise that God is a loving creator and has the same interest in creation that an earthly father has in his children, then it seems to me that the fundamentalists and the humanists are saying the same thing. What brings more glory, pride, and satisfaction to a father than seeing his offspring do well, succeed, and express to the full of their abilities and talents? Have you ever sat by the father of a football star during a game? Jesus expressed the same thought when he told us not to hide our light under a bushel, but to bushel, but to let our light shine so that your Father may be glorified. I cannot believe that it brings any glory to God when his children go around with hangdog expressions, being miserable, afraid to lift up their heads and be somebody. Over the years, following the first publication of this book, I've been invited to speak at many different kinds of churches, from evangelical Christian to Baptist to Episcopal to so-called New Thought and Science of Mind. I've had in-depth discussions about psycho-cybernetics with ministers, priests, a Zen monk, agnostics, even atheists. I've had no difficulty navigating these different waters, and we have always found common ground in the basic premise of liberating individuals from their own inner mental, often unconscious self-sabotage, and the corollary premise of individuals being intended to succeed, not fail. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale had kind things to say about psycho-cybernetics, and he and I had several good discussions, even though I have on occasion commented that simple positive thinking, as most people think of it, is too often destined to disappoint, as it tries to force the issue from the circumference of our being rather than to reprogram at the core. I don't think you can have a legitimate religious or spiritual disagreement with psycho-cybernetics. The final word on imagination practice. It doesn't matter what religious, spiritual, or philosophical background or viewpoint you come from. It doesn't matter how you describe it. Imagination practice, visualization, mental picturing, or using my terminology, theater of your mind. What's important is that you do it. If you will choose a target to apply this to and give it a solid, honest 21-day trial, you will be so gratified with the results that you will certainly choose to continue using this tool for the rest of your life and benefit enormously by doing so. Just as countless athletes, entertainers, doctors, lawyers, engineers, business leaders, and others have before you. So here are some exercises to get you started. This is a mental training exercise, right? So let us imagine this, okay? Your present self-image was built on your own imagination pictures of yourself in the past, which grew out of interpretations and evaluations you placed on experience. Now you are to use the same method to build an adequate self-image that you previously used to build an inadequate one. Set aside a period of 30 minutes each day where you can be alone and undisturbed. Relax and make yourself as comfortable as possible. Now close your eyes and exercise your imagination. Many people find they get better results if they imagine themselves sitting before a large motion picture screen and imagine that they are seeing a motion picture of themselves. The important thing is to make these pictures as vivid and as clear and detailed as possible. You want your mental pictures to approximate actual experience as much as possible. The way to do this is to pay attention to small details, sights, sounds, objects in your imagined environment. Details of the imagined environment are all important in this exercise because for all practical purposes, you are creating a practice experience, right? And if the imagination is vivid enough and detailed enough, your imagination practice is equivalent to an actual experience in so far as your nervous system is concerned. The next important thing to remember is that during these 30 minutes, you see yourself acting and reacting appropriately, successfully, and ideally. It doesn't matter how you acted yesterday. You do not need to try to have faith you will act in the ideal way tomorrow. Your nervous system will take care of that in time. If you continue to practice, see yourself acting, feeling, being as you want to be. Do not say to yourself, I'm going to act this way tomorrow. Just say to yourself, I'm going to imagine myself acting this way now for 30 minutes today. Imagine how you would feel if you were already the sort of personality that you want to be. If you have been shy and timid and underconfident and introverted, see yourself moving among people with ease and poise and feeling good because of it, because now you're able to interact with others in social situations. If you have been fearful and anxious in certain situations, see yourself acting calmly and deliberately, acting with confidence, poise, and courage, and feeling expansive and confident because you are. This exercise builds new memories or stored data into your midbrain, and it expands your mental or central nervous system. It builds a new image of the self. After practicing it for a time, you will be surprised to find yourself acting differently, more or less automatically and spontaneously without trying. This is as it should be. You do not need to take thought or try or make an effort now in order to feel ineffective and act inadequately. Your present inadequate feeling and doing are automatic and spontaneous. because of the memories, the real and imagined memories that you have built up into your automatic mechanism. You will find it will work just as automatically upon positive thoughts and experiences as upon the negative ones. So step one is to take a pad and pen, that is, take paper and pen, and write out a brief outline or description of the mental movie you intend to construct, experiment with, develop, and view in the theater in the mind. Step two is to set aside 30 minutes of a day, preferably at the same time each day, to find a quiet, private place, relax, close your eyes, enter your theater, and begin playing, editing, replaying your movie. Step 3 is to gradually massage your movie so that its star, that is you, the main character, performs exactly as you desire and achieves the experience and results you desire. Strive to arrive at this point within the first 10 days. Step 4 is for the remaining 11 days out of the 21 days, play and enjoy that movie repeatedly without change. So that is the mental exercise that you should do, and that's it about this video.